Let me first begin with Sanju Verma. Sanju, the Prime Minister says that the opposition is indulging in shortcut politics, which is good for politics, but it is bad for the economy. So how would you assess the economy under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership? Because we are seeing fiscal deficit figures rising, we're seeing the CPI inflation also rising, and if you see the latest CPI inflation figures combined of urban and rural, they stand at 6.77%.
You know, Chaiti, before becoming a politician, and I think even now, I wear the hat of an economist far better than that of a politician. That's on a lighter vein. Coming to your specific query, that's an interesting question, and I'll come straight to the point, cut to the chase. The fact that the entire world is in the throes and on the brink of a recession is not lost on anyone. And this is not Sanju Verma saying as much. Look at the IMF, the World Bank, or large, investment banking firms like
No, you're right.
Stanley,
globally, we are staring at recession.
Yeah.
You're right.
Chaiti, please just give me some time to complete what I'm saying. Globally, the GDP growth this year, as per IMF, is not likely to be more than 2.5%. India, as per IMF, is the only economy which is going to grow at close to 7%. We've already done 9.9% GDP growth in the first half. Assuming what the RBI says, we will do only 4% in the second half. Even then, we will end the current financial year at 6.95%. Were we to do 4.5% in the second half, Chaiti, we will actually end financial year 2022-23 with a GDP growth of 7.2%, which by any stretch of imagination is excellent news in a world which is still grappling with two big black swan events that happened: A, the COVID pandemic, and B, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and large chunks of the world are still coming to terms with it. I think coming straight to the PM speech, if you notice, he said, Amdani Athani Kharcha Rupaya, and I think he nailed it, because this is basically the politics of freebies, which he was, taking a strong stand against. People say, even the BJP indulges in freebie culture because you give free houses, you give bijli, pani, sadak to the needy. So I'll tell you this. The Supreme Court has also said, and I'm just reinforcing what they have said, there's a very thin line between freebies and welfare economics. When you give money to a poor marginal household, when you give free gas cylinders, when you build more than 4 lakh kilometers worth of roads in the last 6 to 7 years, when you open more than 47 crore Jan Dhan bank accounts, when you give more than 23 lakh crore to the marginalized via the direct benefit transfer DBT scheme, that is not freebie culture. That is welfare economics, because you are only giving what you can logically deliver without straining the exchequer. But when you go and give a bhashan to the Janta of Gujarat, say the Aam Aadmi Party, though their spokesperson is not there, he will give every household in Gujarat 30,000 rupees. Now there are 1.5 crore households in Gujarat. 30,000 crore would have meant 5.4 lakh crore annual expenditure. Kahan se laoge aap?
The point taken, Sanju Verma, point taken. Let me get Meeta Chakraborty to respond while, she's speaking about the Aam Aadmi Party. Meeta, are you convinced with the way Sanju has defended the Bharatiya Janata Party on this particular front? But the, Prime Minister is gone on to say that this is something which is a shortcut politics of handing out freebies. And how does the Congress respond to this? Because from what Sanju is saying right now, that we are well on track as far as the economy is concerned. You have to see it vis-a-vis the global figures as well, and the world is headed into a recession of sorts.
Okay, good evening to all your viewers. First of all, any ruling party, be it at the state level or at the central level, it is their duty to address the requirements of the weaker sections of the society.
Absolutely.
So, welfare schemes and targeted welfare schemes, I will add the term targeted, unlike what AAP does often in their manifesto promises. Targeted welfare schemes to empower and strengthen the weaker sections of the society is absolutely the responsibility of any ruling government, be it at the state level or at the central level. That's number one. Number two, calling welfare schemes or subsidies freebies. I absolutely do not agree with that approach. If that was the case, we have seen what has happened in PM Kisan Samman Nidhi program, where 6,000 rupees were given as direct cash transfer to about 10 crore farmers. And that was a PM scheme. And there are 8 such central schemes, and I'm just giving you one example where there has been direct cash transfer across a large section of people. So where those freebies or where those welfare schemes? The PM needs to absolutely clarify that. The BJP party needs to give a clarification on
So,
that.
Sanju, it's very clear.
Number three,
that,
let me finish my points, and then you can go back to the panelist, to the spokesperson from the BJP. Number three is when we go and offer any manifesto or any welfare scheme in our manifesto, we do that after doing a feasibility study. Fiscal discipline is definitely a must. Because if we do not fulfill the promises that we make on the manifesto, for example, in Himachal Pradesh, which a state that we have recently won, there were very targeted promises made in our manifesto, which we did in a consultative manner. And if we fail to deliver on those promises, then obviously in the next election, we'll have to face the disappointment of our voters. So in Indian National Congress, we are well aware of that. So we do a feasibility study. We do keep in mind the fiscal discipline. That is very important parameter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is very important that we do not call any welfare scheme that is targeted, that is meant for certain sections of the society as
very good point by Meeta, and I'm going to let Sanju Verma respond to that as well. Sanju, what Meeta says is when you have these schemes doled out as welfare schemes, for the least common denominator, people who are living below poverty line, you cannot just end up calling them freebies. These are SOPs. Every government needs to look after them. After all, it is the duty and the responsibility of the central government to do so.
Chaiti, I started my comments by saying that there is a clear distinction, albeit a thin line, between welfare economics on one hand and the freebie culture on the other. So on that, I think Meeta and me are pretty much saying the same thing. I would like to correct the Congress party on one very important aspect. While you should not indulge in rampant subsidies or rampant freebies which put a strain on the fiscal deficit, on the health of the economy, on the social infrastructure, on the financial infrastructure of the country, let's be very clear. The Prime Minister in his speech has also said, Meeta, that the worst form of taxation on the common man is not just poverty or inflation. The worst form of taxation on the common man is when there are cost and time overruns on large projects. Pandit Nehru laid the foundation of Sardar Sarovar project when 1961. Thanks to Narendra Modi, Sardar Sarovar project was actually operational in 2017. The Chenali Nashri tunnel in Kashmir was inaugurated by the Congress in 2007 and nothing done. Thanks to the Bharatiya Janata Party, it came alive. The Banihal tunnel was inaugurated by the Congress, nothing done for decades together. The BJP made sure it was operational. Thanks to the BJP, for the first time you had a university in Ladakh. Though Ladakh is not on Mars or on Jupiter, Ladakh is very much a part of India. I also want to say one more thing. Let the Congress not get away. What was the, rural network road coverage ratio before 2014? The Congress ruled India for the longest time, Chaiti. It was 54%. Banking penetration, 47%. Electricity penetration, 43%. And sanitation penetration, 39%. And today, thanks to Narendra Modi, the Congress can call him Ravan or Modi ko Hitler bula sakte ho, jo kehna hai kaho. But today, sanitation coverage is almost 100%. Rural road network coverage is more than 90%. Banking penetration is over 95%. Electricity coverage, thanks to the Saubhagya scheme, even in remote corners of India's 5.5 lakh odd villages, is close to 100%.